few days after the Human Rights Day, December 10th, is an especially appropriate time to be giving attention to the very significant but long overlooked problem of major human rights abuses in the Southeast Asia region and by the government of Laos in particular. With the U.S. government political and economic interests rebalanced toward Asia in a major way, as indicated by the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement deal and the policy of reconciliation with Vietnam in the aftermath of the Vietnam War, it is essential that U.S. Congress, the executive branch, and the American people have a more realistic and thorough understanding of the situation in Southeast Asia with respect to human rights and democracy. We cannot expect meaningful, fair, and mutually beneficial trade arrangement and political and diplomatic exchanges to take place in nations that they deny workers and their citizens basic human rights and operate under highly repressive and exclusionary system of governance. Laos is a prime case in point, as the U.S. Department of State Human Rights Council report for Laos for 2013 indicates the Lao People's Democratic Republic is an authoritarian state ruled by the only party, the Communist Party. According to the State Department report, Laos operates the significant human rights problems that include numerous arbitrary and unlawful disappearances, execution, and detention designed to prevent any opposition to government policies or the development of any meaningful political activities on the part of its citizenry. In practice, freedom of speech, freedom of association, and any criticism of the government are officially forbidden. The government of Laos is heavily infiltrated and controlled by the government of Vietnam. Vietnam has sent large numbers of military forces and civilian settlers to Laos on a permanent basis. The Lao National Council for Democracy has estimated that as many as 70,000 Vietnamese soldiers currently are stationed in Laos, occupying military installation and border region. Vietnam's extensive and pervasive influence and control over Laos military, foreign policy, security, economic, educational, and social cultural affairs has been formally recognized and solidified by the Lao-Vietnamese Treaty of Special Friendship and Cooperation that was entered into 1977 for a period of 25 years, with automatic and ongoing 10 years term of renewal thereafter. Among significant human rights abuse taking place in Laos on a regular basis must be given greater attention by the U.S. Congress and the U.S. government are the following. 1. Freedom of speech and of the press. In 2014, the Press Freedom Index by Reporters Without Borders listed Laos as number 171 of 180 nations surveyed for recognition and observance of freedom of speech and freedom of the press standards. This was based on the policy of harsh repression against government critics, including arbitrary arrest, imprisonment, and disappearance of anyone voicing opposition to government policy. The adoption of Decree 327 in 2014 prohibits any online criticism of the government with stiff criminal penalties for those who violate the law. Laos also has imposed a series of restrictions on the activities of civil society organizations and domestic and international non-governmental agencies. 2. Arbitrary detention and disappearances. Human Rights Watch has noted that the case involving the enforced disappearance of prominent civil society leader Senthavong, when he was stopped by the police at the checkpoint, still remain unsolved and has not been properly investigated. The despite convincing evidence indicating that police and national security officials were involved in his abduction on December 15, 2012, where the government of Laos had purposely failed to conduct a serious investigation and to provide any credible information on the fate or status of the victims. 3. Worker rights. Article 5 of the Trade Union Law of 2008 require all unions to conduct their activity in line with the unified leadership of the government and the Lao Communist Party, effectively closing off the rights of workers to organize and bargain collectively on an independent and effective basis. The right to strike also is prohibited under Article 65 of the Labor Law of 2007. Despite Laos' non-participation to TPP, these severe restrictions on worker rights make it impossible for the assurance of fair treatment of workers in the TPP agreement to be fulfilled and negatively impact U.S. competitiveness because of Laos' low labor standard. 4. Unlawful land grabbing and alarming deforestation, as is also true for Cambodia. Land concession, land eviction, and systematic massive deforestation by the government making way for economic development, such as industrial plantation, mines, and dams, have become an increasingly serious problem in Laos, adversely affecting major portion of the Laotian people, and unlawfully forcing them from their farms and become without fair without fair compensation for the benefit of corrupt officials and the company that they favor. Immediate action that the U.S. Congress and the U.S. government must take on an urgent basis to promote more effective observance and application of human rights and democracy reform standards by the government of Laos. 1. All future trade arrangement and agreement with Laos must include strong provision for internationally recognized human rights and democracy reform standards. 2. Trade and assistance to and with the government of Vietnam, including military training and assistance, should be made contingent on that government withdrawal of its military force from Laos and the ending of its military occupation of territories in Laos. 3. The U.S. Congress should take action to bring broader public and international attention and condemnation to the major human rights and democracy reform abuses taking place in Laos. 4. Reinforce U.S. and international convention on illegal import wooden goods. And 5. Put pressure on the Lao government to release all prisoners of conscience. Thank you for the opportunity to raise this important issue with the U.S. Congress in support of the Laotian people.